All right? Chupacabra number 40, which is all about a Lamborghini Miura chassis. This is Joel Hankey. He is here from California to pick this up today. This is a chassis for a hand-built Miura that he's about to start. I want to introduce you on film here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joel. I'll let you get back to me.
Thanks, Charlie, for fitting this into his busy production schedule and getting knocked out.
Well, welcome, sir. This is an enjoyable project. This was fun. Dealing with somebody that understands the nuances of it. It's been a real pleasure on this chassis. Miura chassis, I said in the last video that it was a longitudinal chassis, engine doing this the whole time. It's a transverse chassis, which presented some issues, some not problems, but some things to pay attention to. But this chassis was developed for all mid-engine cars, and by pushing and pulling a little bit, I am extremely pleased that it adapted very well to this Miura chassis. There's always little subtle improvements on chassis as we go, and I want to talk about a few of those before we let this one out the door. This is a chassis. This is all the suspension dummied up. Couple of design changes. One, it has come to our attention that Title 51 says that the wells must be inspected on a chassis. Well, if years in NASCAR has taught me anything, it is to not give them a chance to have a problem. So we said, okay, we'll put some wells on this chassis for them to inspect. When we did that, we said, well, if we're going to introduce wells, can we introduce them in such a manner that they are actually useful to us? So yes, we've done that. We've redesigned this plate a little bit, put wells here, which now captures this plate, and the frame rail all together as one unit. Welded the roll bars in, some things like that. We have redesigned the A-arms a little bit. A salesman that I've known for years called me, said, I'm with Midwest Control now, and I know we've got a lot of hardware that you're using, you're buying from other companies. We've got a lot of other unique hardware. We'd like to have your business on the Chupacabra project. They sent me 4 catalogs. I said, you're right, you do have some interesting hardware. Among it was something called a threaded bung as opposed to a linkage adjuster. Does the same thing. It's left-hand, right-hand thread. You turn that and the rod end goes in and out instead of having to unbolt the rod end, screw it in, bolt the rod end back in to make camber caster adjustments on your suspension. But this is a whole lot longer than the bung. Well, that enabled me to redesign the entire A-arm, which is the same pickup points, the same basic idea, just a much simpler A-arm, which I am extremely pleased with. So just gaining an inch here gained me an inch in all kinds of places. It gained me an inch in a shock mount. This is the first chassis that we've done that the shocks actually went inboard a little bit. This location very slightly changed. That does not affect any of the suspension geometry, but it enabled the shocks to be in a more upright position and give more, move them out this way. You got 2 factors on the shocks. One's a motion ratio. That is, if the shock mounts here on the lower A-arm, it's a whole lot more leverage, so you need a whole lot stronger spring. Same way, if the shock starts to lean over like this, you need a stronger spring. Well, that's no big deal, but the stronger spring is heavier, and you have what's called sprung and unsprung weight. Unsprung weight is like the A-arm, the spindle, the tire, the wheel. It doesn't shift as the car moves, and you can't use it to advantage or do anything with it, and unsprung weight is a bad thing. Well, a heavier shock is more unsprung weight. Now, in this circumstance, it's only a few ounces more, but it's kind of a pleasant design exercise where you improve this, and as a fringe benefit, you get a little less spring and a little less unsprung weight. So there was no downside to doing all this. Just this one piece of hardware has changed everything right here. This, see how that's tucked in there now? Again, more upright here. All is very good there. I'm way pleased with that redesign. Redesigned our spindle a little bit, This used to be a plate right here to get the correct thickness to bolt the caliper to. Used to be another plate here to get the correct offset to bolt the e-brake to. And we said, you know what, why don't we make this one solid plate? Fringe benefit is we get a 1/2 inch thickness here to bolt the caliper to, and this is all a 1/2 inch thick, and we've made 2 little pieces into one slightly larger piece, but a lot stronger piece, and that's all redesigned, and I'm really, really liking it. The fuel tank for it here, this is just in pieces right now. You don't want to weld that together until Joel has a final design on it. But we finally got a solution on that, doing a TIG welded aluminum tank, and all of that is good. We've done something else on the tank. Something that's always bothered me on the design of this chassis is once that tank's in there, it's extremely difficult to get out. We've done a tank that drops out the bottom. This is a new bottom pieces for it. These are the holes for your radiator lines, your air conditioning lines, your heater lines. But these tanks right here make up a piece that holds the bottom in. This unbolts, the tank drops out the bottom. I am way happier with that. Let me just check my notes here, see if I've forgotten anything. Final thing, when you're doing a project like this, we did a 3D overlay to tell me, you know, where to put these rockers, how high, how wide, what the track is, and so forth. And that 3-dimensional deal gave me a good tool to start designing this chassis. But there's a lot of things I don't know the exact roof profile. There's some things I don't know. So, how do you design a chassis for it? Well, life rule number 30-something, the Phil Marshall Irwin Rommel rule: keep the battlefield fluid, make no fixed plans beyond the initial engagement. What I have done here is put the hard points, given Joel something to work to, did what I knew to do, gave my best shot at where this rocker needed to be, but I have not hardened this rocker in. Anything with a red tape on it is not on here solid. I don't know what's going to happen here. This whole design is a holdover from the Chupacabra, but there's him a good start. But let's not harden it up. Let's try to help him, but let's not work against him. Same deal here. I've encroached a little bit on his engine bay. But, you know, in a perfect world, let's make that brace that big. If he runs into a problem, cut it down a little bit, but give him options. The bar up here is not in. The dash is, I think, a very good start, but I don't want to. Well, I thought I could pull it out. That's not in permanent, and I don't want to restrict him to that. So I've given him everything I think he needs, options on things to take it a little further, and I hope a very good start for his Mira project. Joel has done a Ferrari GTO before, and it is a very impressive project. So I know he very much knows what he's doing on this, and I look forward to seeing what he creates out of this. So Chupacabra number 40, all about the Mira. I believe that's a tape.
Well, it doesn't turn off.
Is it off? You can't get it?
No. You push the button.
You gotta be kidding.